Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Tom Spark. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out Brave VPN. This is something I reviewed quite a bit ago and it was pretty rudimentary. So today we're going to be checking out in 2023 to see where it ranks on the tier list. Now this one is kind of odd because it's a little differently set up and I'll discuss that in this video. Now guys, if you like honest VPN reviews and you like privacy products, make sure to check out VPNterlist.com. I have some of my top recommended privacy products there, as well as every VPN in the world pretty much rated here. So make sure to check that out, especially because I don't think Brave is going to be an S tier VPN or one of my top recommended products probably. Anyways, guys, with that in mind, let's go ahead and check out Brave and see what it's all about. Well, first of all, we could check out the pricing here, and it's interesting because Brave has kind of figured out a way to monetize, kind of shifting more into that Google model of making products with these kind of premium features after, making a free product. So they have the Brave browser, which is free to use, and then there's some cryptocurrency components, and now we have these paid products which you could supplement Brave with. So it's kind of going outside of the browser realm, just kind of like how Google has gone outside of just being a search engine. So I think that is kind of smart in terms of a business sense, but in terms of a consumer, are these things really something we want to use? So today we're looking at Brave VPN. First of all, it's $10 a month, which isn't a bad price month to month. But for 1 year, it's going to be $120, which is pretty much more expensive than every single other VPN out there. By far and large, the most expensive one to date. If you get 2 years, it's going to be $240. If you get 3 years, it's going to be $360. And you can get one of my top rated VPNs, TorGuard, with my code for $70 for 3 years, $30 a year. So it's much cheaper to get some other VPNs. Another thing I don't like right away is it says it's limited up to 500 megabits per second, which is not good for me. I do have a gigabit internet speed, so I will see some speed caps when using this. So that's interesting to think about. Some other important details we shouldn't miss is it allows protection up to 5 devices. It says it does have a desktop Android and iOS app. I don't believe that it had a desktop app the first time I reviewed it, but I'm still trying to kind of figure out that exactly because, we are using a desktop app here in the browser, but I'm not sure if it's like an application outside of Brave browser yet. So we're kind of trying to figure that out as we go through this review. We're looking for the refund policy now. Partnership with Guardian. So like I said in my first review, it's partnership with Guardian. So you get a refund if the first 7 days are considered the trial period. So it doesn't seem to be like a 30-day policy necessarily. It just seems to be a 7-day trial period. So yeah, it's not necessarily going to get points for that because we do like a 30-day refund policy at least. The nice thing is at least the pricing seems to be pretty transparent, just a flat $10 a month. So it's not going to have any price increases or any kind of marketing tricks. It does offer promo codes, but we didn't get one, or I don't really know how to get one. So I am going to give it a point there, but I don't have one for you guys if you are interested in buying it. We're not going to give it points for 8 simultaneous connections either. So that's something to keep in mind. Overall, Brave doesn't do too well in pricing. It's pretty expensive. The refund policy isn't really even there. It's like a 7-day trial period. It's going to be very expensive long term. We see limited simultaneous connections as well, just to round up that section. So it's still not clear to me if I can like download this VPN. I'm pretty sure it's just through the browser. And what I can do is click up in the right and we have some settings. Well, not really any settings, just a little thing. And we will connect. So we're going to go ahead and do some speed tests to see what kind of speeds we can get with this VPN in the browser. So let's see what we get. Ideally, like I said, my internet is around 700 to 800 for a max connection with VPN, sometimes 900 plus without VPN on. So like I said in the beginning, Brave does seem to be limited by 500 megabits per second, and that's roughly what we're seeing here, a cap there and then a reduce from that as well. So honestly, these speeds really aren't very good. Nothing really impressive so far about those speeds at all. The hard thing about Brave is that I just need a little bit more information. It's not really set up like a traditional VPN. It's kind of muddled with all this other kind of stuff with the other stuff on their website. There really just isn't that much information. I want to know how many servers it has. Okay, so this answered my question before. You must have Brave installed in order to use the VPN. So this is a company that kind of provides the VPN access to Brave, but it's not really like advertised too much. It's like kind of more if you go into it, and it does seem to be kind of like a different service. We're gonna be kind of looking for like server locations. So it looks like these are some server locations. Ideally, we want like 50 plus server locations, and that's not gonna cut it for us. If we're looking at the application, like I said, it's really just pretty bare bones, just a little bit of a proxy. So it's not gonna get many points there. So one thing I'm kind of thinking about in the application section is, you know, should I give it points for ad blocking? Theoretically, Brave browser does have ad blocking, so I'm just going to give it a point there to be nice. Although the VPN isn't necessarily providing that. So actually, I might take that away because the VPN isn't really providing ad blocking. It's the Brave browser, which you don't have to pay for, which is not necessarily Brave VPN. So it does have a browser extension because that is where the VPN is living. But pretty much everything else, it's going to be extremely bare bones. Yeah. So the good news is that Brave as a company is generally pretty good when it comes to things like this. You know, the website itself doesn't really have any trackers. So yeah. If we look at the application itself, which is where you're going to be using the VPN, we have 25 permissions. A lot of these are things you don't necessarily need to enable, but it's good to see we have 0 trackers, which is exactly what we're seeing. And just like the website, there's no trackers either. But again, this is kind of Brave's thing. It would be interesting to look at the Guardian application to see how many trackers it has in it, because primarily like that is providing the VPN use. So let's see if we can find that. Guardian VPN. I don't know. None of these really look like it. So, all right, guys. So we could go ahead and check to see which one of these things would run on the US version of Netflix. Something like In His Shadow should be on the US version of Netflix. I'm having issues logging into my account, which is not a good sign. We're going to disconnect and then try to re-log in. Disconnecting did seem to resolve the issue, which is not a good sign for Brave VPN. We're going to reconnect and then try to search. So, okay, click yes. In His Shadow, In His Shadow. In His Shadow, is that the one we're looking for? In His Shadow 2023. So it seems to be there. So it does seem to be working with the US version of Netflix. Let's try something like UK to watch Blue is Warm's Color. Quite a spicy movie, by the way. Doesn't seem to be there. So it does seem to be working with the US version of Netflix, but overall streaming results aren't going to be that consistent worldwide, or that involves worldwide, mainly probably for the US version of Netflix. So a couple of other things when it comes to Brave. Does it have two-factor authentication? I can't really seem to find it in this page, at least here. Apparently they don't collect any logs, which is good. And in terms of company acquisitions, it's kind of an odd area because it's not really like a company that made the VPN. They're just kind of sourcing it from someone else. So yeah, kind of a weird situation. I did find some information about some of those settings I was missing out on, or they're not available yet. It seems like they might be trying to make a actual desktop version, but it's not out yet. It also looks like they're trying to configure more settings, like a kill switch, which is good. And they also are working towards a third-party audit, but don't have that yet. Additionally, it is not open source at this time, and it's behind Guardian. So yeah, the good news is I do like this involvement and answering of questions from the team, which is nice. So I'll give them a point for being transparent. So I'm looking at the support and trying to figure out how to make a ticket, or if that's something that can be even tested or resolved. Any way to make a ticket, so that's kind of annoying. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be working with Prime Video or some of the other streaming services, and that's definitely disappointing. All right, guys, we've pretty much checked out most of the things with Brave VPN, and let's go ahead and give my overview as rated in the tier list. Honestly, the score is not very impressive. Rounding up the summation of points here, we're going to get a final score of 20.31, which isn't very good. By rating that, it looks like it's going to be kind of behind VPN Unlimited, right in front of. It's definitely probably one of the worst VPNs, primarily because of the limited factor of what it actually is. If we look at the pricing, it's very expensive, especially for you get $10 a month, $120 a year. There's not even a desktop application yet. This has been out for a while. They're still working on it. We don't really know exactly, when that will ever come or what it's going to be like. And I guarantee when it's come out, it's going to be something kind of like Mozilla's VPN, kind of copying, just rebranding VPN in terms of it being very simple, having like one setting, like a kill switch, and that's probably it, called a day. So it's expensive. Like I said, the application is very bare bones. As of right now, it's just like an app on your phone or an extension. It's not like a fully fledged PC VPN, which is what we're looking for here on this channel. Speeds were nothing impressive either. We couldn't even max out our gigabit speed. With other VPNs, I could get 3 to 4 times faster speeds than I did with Guardian. So yeah, nothing too impressive there. And in terms of the privacy audit, well, pretty good. That said, it's not open source. But naturally, the Brave website just doesn't have many trackers on it or anything like that. So that's kind of going to be standard there. Customer support, I couldn't really figure out how to contact them. It didn't seem to be any ticket system on the website. You might be able to do it on your phone or something. But I just couldn't really figure out how to even send a ticket in for any questions or anything like that. And I gave them 5 points for being able to handle criticism. I think the team reached out to me last time when I reviewed them, and they were pleasant enough with some response to the feedback. Streaming, I gave them 2 points for working with the US version of Netflix, but as a caveat, it only seems to work with the US version of Netflix and not really any other streaming services or other versions of streaming services either. So as a whole, guys, is Brave VPN worth using in 2023? Well, probably not. It's extremely bare bones. It's just kind of like a proxy on your browser. It looks like they're going to be putting more development into it eventually, but it doesn't compare to pretty much any other VPN out there. It's just too simple for what it is. Maybe if you just want an app on your phone with Brave, you don't want to have to install another app. You want to just use the Brave browser and then use VPN there on Brave browser. It could do the job. But again, you're paying so much for it, you might as well just get a better VPN anyways that could do more things for you. Anyways, guys, that's about it for this video. Hope you found that unbiased and objective, and check out some of the other VPNs if you're interested in those, or some of my favorite products on VPNterlist.com. And I'll see you again very soon.